aunties, uncles in the community, and also a big group of monks witnessing themselves and their kōrero on stage is such an honour, as it always is, hosting and providing space for other communities. Shania is now working on her next full-length piece and is also writing screenplays. Slide 3, please, Tyler. Thank you. So I'm actually going to name these people. This is a slide from Breaking Ground. So we also have a writing festival inside our festival. And it actually, Breaking Ground Playwrights Festival was the precursor to Keynote and began in 2010, 5 years before Keynote started to exist. To initially provide a platform for Māori and Pacifica playwrights and playwriting and developing of their scripts. Both Media and I are playwrights and screenwriters and have a very strong bias towards that art form. So any playwrights and screenwriters out there, you're the bomb. Most recently, this picture here is from artists from 2017 to 2024. So I'll quickly go through from your left to right. At the furthest end is Cambodian writer Sarita So. Next to her is Niuean artist Alec Wafua. Next to Ali is Filipino writer and producer and actor Sean Rivera. And next to Sean is Samoan poet and playwright Grace Taylor, who spent time here in Hawaii. And next to Grace is Samoan writer, director, actor Nakano Kini, who also happens to be married to Sarita So. And next to Nakano is Korean New Zealand writer and producer Nyan Lee. And finally here, Māori, Wahine Māori playwright Shirley Kahu. We again had the privilege to nurture the words of these writers. And most recently, as I said, Filipino writer Sean Rivera, who's written a beautiful piece based around 2 piano pieces that he composed. We worked on that. With Nyan's piece, it was a theatre sitcom that she created that was picked up by one of our big companies. And with Sarita, it was, and a slide later, one of her works digging to Cambodia. And in June 2024, oh, she's not up there. Yeah, she's not. This June, we are developing a musical with Chinese New Zealand writer Cassandra T. So again, it's a continuation of our connection with our Asian whānau in Aotearoa. Slide 4, please, Tyler. The Morning After by HIConFest in 2021. A solo work by Tamil Sri Lankan artist HIConFest. Ahi has been a long-time collaborator with Tauta Productions and Keynote Festival as an artist and also as a producer. His work, The Morning After, is about the effects of the 2004 tsunami on a small coastal village in Sri Lanka, and a young Kiwi-born Sri Lankan who visits the devastated village and the ghosts who inhabit it. Ahi became a New Zealand Arts Laureate along with myself in 2022. Slide 5, please. Thank you. Slide 5. She's not in this photo, but this is to acknowledge a mihi to the amazing Julie Zhu, a Chinese New Zealand writer, filmmaker, producer, photographer, and activist. Julie has worked with us since the inception of Keynote Festival, primarily as a photographer, but also as a producer of our art Bebop solidarity panels, especially in 2021, and sharing many of the elements of activism, and that she led the Artists for Aotearoa, Artists for Tiriti o Waitangi, and is very, very active in activist scene in Aotearoa. Many of our iconic shots from Kia Festival have been taken by Julie. And if you visit our website, you'll see quite a few of them, and a lot of them are by her. Julie is also fluent in Te Reo Māori. Slide 16. You saw the photograph of these two before, and here they are again. This is the slide which relates to digging to Cambodia, written and performed by Sarita in 2019. Khmer Cambodian writer Sarita Kosomakso and her solo work digging to Cambodia. Through words, movement, and songs from Cambodia's 1960s rock era, digging to Cambodia is a letter to the past, present, and future self. It asks us all, what is worth remembering? It's a rock and roll homage to her family's flight from war-torn Cambodia and their resurrection in Aotearoa. Sarita is an award-winning writer of the first New Zealand Cambodian work, Yang Yet's Legacy, in 2014. She, along with her husband, Samoan writer-director Natano Kini, lead HIConFest Productions, a Cambodian Samoan theatre and film production house in Aotearoa. They recently had a production of One Pipilo at our biggest theatre in Aotearoa, the Auckland Theatre Company, to sold out seasons. The majority, this time it was Natano taking the lead, and the majority of the work was in Samoan and not translated. And the communities have shifted, and we don't need translation. We never have. It's those who are not us who need it. Thank you, Tyler. It was also pointed out to me that Kia Festival board member Eric Nan is also a Chinese New Zealander. And when I returned to Aotearoa, I began rehearsals for one of my new plays, Ngā Rorirori, it means the beards, with a fabulous young Mongolian New Zealand actor in the cast. I see artists and builders, not ethnicity. So for 2025, evolving on from this, we are embarking on a new and exciting hiko or journey. And that is the beginning of working with international Indigenous artists from Asian communities. For Mosams in Taiwan, the Pauai people, and Ainu Japanese artists in Japan. This is after an exchange with Taiwanese producers coming to Kia Festival in 2023 and Ainu artists visiting us in 2021. I was asked by one of their younger producers, why these people matua? This is really easy for me to answer. And again, it's about connecting, centering, and building. These two Indigenous nations, in particular, are like our ohana here, Kanakama, our cousins. How may you ask? Through researchers and documentary makers who we've discovered, we are very close linguistically with our connections, that our people can speak to each other across oceans. That it's similar to us here in Hawaii and to our whānau in Rapa Nui. Again, my daughter was in Rapa Nui and messaged me and said, perhaps we can order to each other with ease. It shows us, as was said in the show last night, we are great travelers, we are great communities. From my first investigations around kapa, I thought we had very little in common. But what I soon discovered was that we were coming from different ends of the spectrum, but wanting a similar outcome, to create and nurture spaces for seldom heard voices. Thank you to Haile, Leilani, Nakata whānau for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me to work on these plays. As a playwright and as a creator, I don't get that opportunity very often. To you all, I say, no mai haramai. No mai haramai ki te Keynote Festival 2025. We are on from May 1st to June 14th. That's a mad business, right? In Te Whanganui-a-Tara, and I'll repeat it, May 31st to June 14th, for a 2-week period in Aotearoa, and you are all welcome. No mai haramai, piki mai, kake mai. I'll close with a beautiful waiata that was so surprising for me that was sung at the end of the first keynote speaker on the first day we were here. A song that simply says, in love, in hope, in peace to us all. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, kia ora hui mai tātou kātou. Kia ora. Te aroha, te whakapono, me te rangi mai e tātou te aroha, te whakapono, me te rangi mai e tātou te whakapono, te rangi mai e tātou e. Kia ora mai tātou. Thank you.
Yay. Everyone up for tomorrow and Tuesday, right? The idea of centering, connecting, and building, all of that good stuff. We are going to shift into a plenary right now, and we'll bring Monet back out as well. We'll be joined by a couple of others. Would be great. And I wanted to meet here again to Hone. We had the opportunity to visit Kyoto and also participate in Breaking Waves. I've had, some of my workshop there as well, and it's just an amazing experience to be with like-minded Kanaka who have similar values and are similar to what was just said, right? About uplifting our community and uplifting voices in a manner that empowers us, right? It empowers our identity. It empowers our language. It empowers our narratives, our stories. It empowers our different aspects of hana no eo, whether it's visual and performing arts that we weave into our theatrical artistry, right? And I think most importantly, it honors and empowers our connection to all those who came before us and to all those around us. So it honors our mo'oku o or whakapapa, right? Those genealogical connections that we have with our ancestors, but not just our ancestors, our environment as well, right? The connection to our akua, our deities who manifest themselves and embody this land that we roam, right? When the wind blows, there's messages, right? When we feel the rain or we feel the sun, there's a story behind that. Maybe that's an ancestor reaching out. So whakapapa or genealogy is not just to people, right? It's to our aina, right? It's to the piko, of course, that connects us. And then to those foundational environmental aspects, right? Water, wind, rain, earth, yeah, sun, all of those different elements, ocean, the waterways, the rivers, the streams, our kupuna are there, right? The mauna, right? Our kupuna are there. And then real quick, somebody went to school and did a business degree and not a theater degree on it. Economics major. So amazing, yeah. That's why he's able to do all the cool stuff he does now, I think. Right. Okay, Leilani, we're gonna shift into the plenary. Is there? Did you want to share?
I was gonna. No, I can't follow that. Other than to introduce the other plenary speakers.
Yes,
Please.
please.
So we have Lucy Burns, who also served as an advisor dramaturg for one of the 10-minute play groups. And we have Misty Ishii, who is coming on, she, as you know, our board president, but she was also a director of one of the groups. And then Tony, who originally was an advisor dramaturg, but we ended up pulling him in to also direct. So he is both one of the advisors and one of the directors. So we have one of the duos who helps nurture those plays from each group, the conversation.
Okay, but would you like to sit too?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Chair, just added me.
Or you want you sit, understand. I'm good. I can. Okay. That's good. Let me focus up with my controls over there. So, oh, you get a people. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Always get up. Yes. Always eat first. Yeah. And they get the special. They get the special chair. We sit on a hard chair. Right? Yes. That's the manahata. Yeah. Yeah. That's our whole keeper. Okay. Oh, I have three more.
You know, I don't think we necessarily need to stick to a script. I think we can just go into conversation. I did make notes, you know, trying to be smart out there. Just being a good student, okay? No. I really hope that we can have a conversation that organically takes us to the information that is meant to be shared. And perhaps we can just amplify a bit, picking up off of the wonderful korel that we just had, you know, helping us realize the connections that already exist. And then talking perhaps about the 10-minute plays as well, that each of you were able to work with. And a representative from Ainu, Piko, and compliment. So that's really kind of cool. Maybe Leslie, I'll just hand the mic to you, and we'll start maybe with just a response, a quick general response from what we just heard. What resonated for you?
Honey, oh my goodness. Oh, I love to see everyone. Who wants to take a collective breath? I need one. Yes, thank you. Please breathe. Mahalo. I sat as I do that because there's so much to process always, right? First of all, mahalo for really inspiring, sharing with us so many things, so many ways. It's powerful and it's fun to connect all of what we do in different spaces and with the different communities. I think I was born and raised to actually organize and support building and rebuilding a community. So, and how Yonsei and the Sunday. And I actually want to share this. I don't say this out of a place of victimhood. I say this as a place of pride, as we were saying earlier, being those who survive, those who fly, those who come together and continue the work. So that said, I don't say, and I am a descendant of survivors and non-survivors of U.S. World War II concentration camps. So it was so important for me to hear your keynote and all that you shared with us, because it's affirming how we are, you are connecting and you're supporting folks to centering who they are, truly who they are, in an authentic way, and also as we rebuild in these new times and these technology now, and all these ways that we can connect. And I deeply appreciate how you were doing that with all of us, right? You showed us with the various communities. So that's one of my, or many facet layers of how you inspired some inspiration thoughts for me. I want to share too that one of the, as you were speaking, I was recalling that all my years in Los Angeles, whenever Black Grace came to town, Samoan, Maori dance troupe, I would drop everything. I wouldn't go to theater. Theater was left behind. I would go and I would attend this dance theater company's work, because I knew there was some medicine there was something there that was so fervent. And the power of their work and the way they brought their creativity and their voices out on stage was so inspiring to me. So just another beautiful way that your people's like communities have inspired us internationally, all over the world. So mahalo.
That's me. I'm Lucy Burns, and I'm really, I'm a humble guest on this item, invited here for the purpose of the HIConFest, and specifically as one of the advisors for the 10-minute play, and I'll also share something about this I mentioned. But I'm really grateful to be here and be nourished by how it always, it's land, water, air, people, and stories. I'm always grateful to be invited to follow your lead, and be asked to work in solidarity as we collectively respond responsibly to the call of strengthening Indigenous and local theater. So much mahalo, everyone. And I'll say more about this tomorrow. I also come from the unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tonga peoples, where I live and work, and specifically I live in a neighborhood in Los Angeles
was founded on one of the first expropriated indigenous lands in Califas. So that's me. And I'll express more gratitude again tomorrow when we have more time, but I wanted to just quickly respond to your question. Thank you so much, and thank you honey, for your beautiful keynote. Many things about it struck me, but one of the things that I really appreciate that resounded from Dr. Lopez to Dr. Torres to Nothing Micro in Micronesia, and all the performances here is this image of navigation and the project of navigation and how these stories, what you're offering us, is to help us navigate how to be with each other in our differences, right, in our similarities, in our difficulties, which is so much needed at this moment, right? And that beautiful image of that when they, clear this I was like, that's it. You're giving us, you're navigating us, you're leading us. And we take turns leading each other and following each other. And that's what I really heard from a lot from you, what you shared with us today. It brings it together for me and no more of that's happening. But I just want to offer that idea of following and leading. And also just in awe, if you move to the 10-minute places, in awe of being a part of being able to work on stories and how artists and art makers realize their vision. So, and I've heard that in all the work that you're amazing that you're doing. Phenomenal. One person.
And I'm gonna say that Ova and I have the privilege of meeting Hone and Lydia, thanks to Kiki and Heidi, because we happen to be going to Aotearoa, and we're like, where's the theater people? Where can we go? And we met Hone, and Hone introduced us to Sarita, and I forget our last sister's name. Shania. Thank you. Shania. How do I forget? And Shania. And both of them were just so appreciative of you, Hone, and the work, and you're supporting their work. And tell me if I'm wrong, but what my understanding of what they said was that funding in New Zealand there's Maori funding and then there's everybody else funding, and the everybody else, especially in our field, tends to be Pakeha, Maori, white. And you have been a champion of their work, of Asian New Zealand, their work. Because of course the Pakeha are not taking care of the Asian American or Asian American, the non-white theater practitioners, and I think it's just amazing that the indigenous Maori are the ones who are supporting the immigrants and the immigrant practitioners and theater practitioners. I don't know if you want to. Oh, I also wanted to mention Sarita had been accepted into the festival in 2020. So she would have been here in 2020 because that solo piece that Tony was talking about would have been in HIConFest had we been able to go through with it. But yeah, I wonder if you would want to talk on that at all.
About the funding and stuff. Yeah.
About yes.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. Or support. I mean, you already talked about supporting Asian artists. But.
Yeah. As I mentioned previously, it's just kind of natural. I'm just really curious, constantly curious, and I think, as I said, that talk on appearance. Yeah, so my dad was a forestry worker and my mom's a cleaner, and yet somehow they got all 9 of us to either go to tertiary education or to their own businesses. And I wrote a play about our family moving from our traditional lands to another land for employment. So basically, we were immigrants in our own country. So I kind of knew firsthand that feeling of the need for it. So it's kind of been one of the engines that drives me in regards to it. And yes, you're right. There's actually funding, there's Pacifica funding, and there's Māori, Pacifica, and New Zealand. And the leader of the Pacifica funding, Matariki Riley, is amazing. She's incredible. So one of the things that we talked and got together during the pandemic, really quickly, was that I got all of the key Māori theatre and dance companies together and basically said, jokingly called them the G8, there's actually 9 of them, and said, hey, are you all good? And they went, yeah, we're good, we're really good. And then did the same thing with Pacific companies as well. And Mawhiti was amazing that during that period of time, she knew there were going to be big pockets of money and secured $13 million for Pacific festivals over a 5-year period. So we were really aware that resource was going to be there and gone. So we had to plan for the future. So it's one of the key things with us. But yeah, you're right, in regards to non-Māori and non-Pacifica, it's tough. So it was really simple for us. And Sarika is one of Media's best friends. Ahilan is as well. He's actually about to perform a show called Hunting and Cracking at the Public Theatre in New York very soon. So it's just, for us, it's to give that space is really what it comes to. But yeah, it's one of the key things that I just want to, it's the amazingness of our communities is not giving the opportunity. So one of the other communities that we're working hard with at the moment is the African communities in Aotearoa and South Africa as well, and just going, hey, bring your stuff, you're amazing, let's do things. So yeah, I really want to thank you for mentioning that, and it's just seeing the amazingness of our artists, and as you see, working at the Keynote place, it's so cool. It's so great seeing this came out of that person's head. You look at them and you go, wow, how did that happen? Yeah, how does that happen? So yeah, I think it's not as difficult as it looks, and that's what I don't quite understand. That those organisations that are super funded, why they don't have this ability to see beyond themselves is really baffling to me. But what we're finding now is that a lot of those big Pākehā, we call them established holy institutions, are coming towards us and want to be our friends now. And we're trying to go, no, that's cool, see them over there, they'll be our friends as well. We're going to hang out with these ones here. And so that's been really satisfying. Because constantly we have to be people, and even our young ones. And one of the reasons I started Keynote, I had a young artist go, oh wow, the New Zealand Arts Festival is out. And I knew what they were doing. They were looking for the 3 Māori Pacifica shows and the whole festival. And I went, this is rubbish, this is rubbish. You should have a pamphlet in their walkouts. And so it's just those sorts of things, because if we were going to do it, it wasn't going to change. And I really love it that since 2015 in Aotearoa, there are now 5 Indigenous-led platforms. There is, yeah, it's amazing. The Rafting Festival in the East Coast, led by Tama Waipara. The Whāo Festival in Ōtautahi, Christchurch, in the Deep South, which is all in Te Reo Māori, our language. Aotearoa Festival in the centre in Rotorua. And I don't know how they did it, but Anna Kareen and Tony Tuki Waho opened a theatre during the pandemic. And it's amazing, it's Māori and led. So just having those spaces where we don't have to engage has changed everything. It really has, because now we have our leadership in the Pākehā organisations, but then we have our sovereign leadership as well. And it's really changed the amount of work, the type of work, and also for me, with Keynote, I want our people in those 5,000 centres. Our people could do that. And once we started getting our people in there, now I've got young ones, it's too many of them, going, I want to do a show in the 5,000 seater. Go, no, do it in a 100 seater first. But I love that box, and I love that move towards it, and I'm talking to that.
Because you mentioned the 5,000 seater, I want to bring up a really social. So in 2023, we were at the HIConFest Festival, and it was an amazing performance. It was a Cook Island performance that media put together. And it was in that massive hall. It's a 5,000 seater hall. The most beautiful music, very deep storytelling that was interwoven between the music. And it was a concert in a sense, a concert interwoven with theater. Amazing. Can maybe you share a little bit about, because I know for us, we were just blown away. We were blown away by that community, the Rarotonga community that came out hard and wide. They all came out and they were flash. And we sort of saw something like that yesterday with, nothing Michael about Micronesia, which was awesome. Perhaps maybe you could share a little bit about the organized campaign behind that and getting to make that happen, because that's a one institution that we were all in. So if you want to mention.
Thank you, Hailey. It was beautiful having you there. It was, as Hailey said, it's a 5,000 seater. The Michael Fell Centre, usually only has a symphony orchestra, and those sorts of organisations in there. And over this week, we can do this. Also, you're not going to lump all the Pacific Islanders together. It's going to be the cookies. And I'm lucky enough that to be here as a Cook Islander as well. And so I did for media. I came up with the idea, and then, let's do this, like a Cook Island University Social Club. Cool. It should be easy, and holy moly. We had 5 bands. It was a history of string bands in the Cook Islands. And beautiful. And you had the big dogs. They were all there playing everything like bass, and it was tough. So one of the biggest problems we had was that the powers that be who held those venues were really reluctant to let us hire it. They go, no, we got the deposit. I can pay the whole lot straight away if you want, And they were really resistant in regards to our communities having these big spaces. So in 2023, we not only had there, we had a work in the Opera House that was sold out as well, and the St. James, which is another 3,000 seater. And it was mind-blowing for the powers that be that saw this community. And they said it themselves. One of the New Zealand musicians on stage said, I've never stood on the stage ever. I've never had the opportunity to do that in front of our people. And and it got to the point where everyone was just up dancing, and you could see the ushers go, I give up, I give up. People are it's too much of a good time. But it was the understanding, and I felt that last night. That you work hard with the community leaders. I have so much autograph media. I was sitting a couple of rows back from here in the technical tech for it, and 2 of the leaders were going, why are they doing that? Who's there? What's doing that? What's doing that? It's just the tech. It's not the show. So can we just keep moving? And in a very, a lot of in that corridor. But I could see you're under a lot of pressure, and that's something that working with your community does, and we were scared because we thought, if this doesn't work, it's over. We can never go back to the Cook Islands, but it worked, and wow, it really worked to the point where the community leadership came back to us and went, you have to do this again in 2025. So we've got the venue. We've got a different way of approaching it. Media's putting it all together. But then we went, okay, why don't we have, do people here know what the Edinburgh tattoo is? Yeah? It's this massive thing. For those who don't, it's this massive thing. It's mostly military, actually. And in Edinburgh, at the castle, it has thousands of people. So we went, we're going to do a Cook Islands tattoo, in 2027. And we're going to have thousands of our people there, and we're going to really shift the needle of what we, as Māori, Pacific, Indigenous people, are supposed to do. in this landscape. So it's been really interesting. When the word got out and we were doing the HICU social, all these international producers turned up. And they went shopping. And that was one thing I really understood. Once we, and I'm sure you all know it when we're successful, once we get successful, they come and cannibalize us. Right? And it's natural. And you go, it's going to happen. Just go with it. Just go with it because they can't do what we do. You know, and I was fortunate enough in the 90s in Aotearoa that Māori theatre was just exploded everywhere. We were in all the venues, big ones, everything like this, and then the Pākehā institutions went, we can do Māori theatre. Yeah, it didn't work, it didn't work. But the worst thing for us is that they then just dropped us. And you didn't see Māori work on the main stages for almost a decade. Because it didn't work for them. And so we have to do it ourselves. So I hope that answers that highly that, yeah, now, as I said, our artists are thinking about massive spaces. And it's normal to see our people there. It's normal to make works for a 10-seater to a 5,000-seater. And we can fill them. And that's one of the other things that's been so heartening. And it's not only Māori, Pacific, or Indigenous, it's our Pākehā brothers and sisters that are coming together. It's the coolest time, bro. 2 weeks just partying and having our people is so cool. And it's usually the case that we find in Aotearoa. You put it in front of people, go, if you build it, they will come. And it's one of those ones. And it works. So thank you for asking, because I'm really looking forward to the creation of that. Media knows that she needs a team now. She pretty much did it with 2 people, which was, I felt so terrible. But she did it, and it was incredible. That even those in the Cook Islands. So we also, our big productions, because of our film background, we filmed the works. So HIConFest is now, it's going to be in the film festival circuit. So we're hopefully getting into fifth year as well. So we filmed the concert, and it's a beautiful, beautiful film that media directed that as well as the live show at the same time. So yeah, it's just really understanding if we have resources, we super utilize it. You know, go bang, bang, bang. You know, don't just give it up, but keep moving. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, that was an amazing experience for us, and I'm happy to hear what we've done again. Idiot, yeah, get her. That's a lot of navigating.
Yeah.
It's a lot of navigating as well. Leslie, might you want to share a little bit about where you are and the navigating you've been doing at Perseverance? I think it's, but can you see it? Is it only my brain? I don't know. Yeah, I think because you're navigating the cultural work that's happening there, having to really think about community and their needs and how they want to see their stories. Would you mind sharing?
I'll just share. I'll share that Perseverance Theater is based on the sacred covenants of the HICon, on Keynote, also known as Juneau, Alaska, and also home to the High Houston church was there as well. And I think part of the way I navigated was for my own culture. I knew to take a gift and give the elders first. My mom and dad. And even now, I still write every quarter. I write an email, try to keep it too long, to update them what we're doing on their land as guests, the most respectful guest we could be. But also, we made a commitment at Perseverance Theater to be a good steward of the building and the organization on their sacred homeland. That is not something that had been done since the founder, Molly Smith, who many of you may know from Arena Stage in Washington, D.C., who just moved back into retirement. So grateful wonderful relationship with the community of peoples there. And I think, moving forward, that kind of dropped. I don't think it disappeared completely, but that sense of stewardship did not continue. So we've really taken that back up. And, some of you may know this too. I think you have a Mellon playwright residency maybe at the theater. When we came in, this new team came in, Vera Stargard was our resident playwright. And so my first season was her play, Devilfish, and I was slated to direct it. So that really kicked up our commitment to colonizing and supporting re-indigenization as well. And since then, we've continued to do our best to make trusted relations with President Peterson, who is the president of Central Council of HIConFest, as well as with Dr. Rosita Worrell of the Alaska Heritage Institute. And with that, we're so grateful that we now have a co-production with, Southeast Alaska Heritage Institute, for the first weekend opera, All in Plain. And as the Vera is our librettist, Ed Littlefield is our composer, Huneles Twitter, who I know you know, is our culture bearer, lady culture bearer for Trinket. And then we have, all these folks have grown up, you know, as Alaska natives throughout Alaska and on Trinket on E. And we actually have an orchestrator who is also Trinket. So an entire creative team. It's been amazing. And we were able to do some developmental workshops with all either Alaska Native or Native Indigenous, some from Hawaii came because I know you have with your music Native language revitalization. So that was really powerful, and from other Pacific Northwest communities. I'll also share that I don't think we've said this too publicly. Perseverance is really connected and just committed to language revitalization, but also the art, culture, ways of life, subsistence living. So one of the ways we navigate is if, like, say, one of our culture bearers is, you know, it's that season where they have deer, they have to dress it. We say, okay, we reschedule rehearsal. That's it. We must support way of life. And it's so beautiful how generous everyone becomes in the learning of these practices that may not be Native Indigenous. And then pretty soon you start to notice a beautiful exchange. They brought deer, they brought venison, we exchanged food and other ways with everybody. So I was also having a little bit. I got to visit from the National Endowment for the Humanities, Dr. Lowe, the current chair. She came to visit with her team, and we were talking about that. She said, it's the concern of non-BIPOC communities is that they're going to get left out and we'll take over. We're like, no, we don't replicate people. No. See, we had a great conversation about integration. If you integrate, you know, revitalization, indigeneity, everyone's collective liberation comes along, aloha comes out. And so things like that have been happening, and we navigate that and support, and it's changing our processes and models of how we work. And one of the things I'm most proud of, I'm not there yet, it's very humble saying this, we are working to design and look at how to mitigate, eliminate burnout in the field. Oh my God, yeah, we talk about what is the most humane way. And that's inspired by Martini peoples and all of you too that have inspired us to work differently and to support and respect the lessons and learnings from since time immemorial. And I shared this with the NEA, the National Council on the Arts. They asked me, what do you think about our future? I said, I think the future is extremely bright. And they said, why? We have all these issues. I said, because we're re-indigenizing. They said, what do you mean by that? I said, remember, digits are not in the diorama back in the museum. Well, we're decolonizing and re-indigenizing the museums, thank goodness. But there's this idea that it's from the past. I said, oh, hell no, it's so present. And these are the communities that I'm witnessing know how to bring the lessons since time immemorial, honoring ancestors, elders that help us to do that, to honor our ancestors and elders, remember that. And then they have so elegantly come and integrated the contemporary, the current generations. It's so exciting to see that come together. Those collaborations within your communities is so inspiring. It's not one for the other. It's a beautiful creative process that I'm watching unfold, and we can all come together. It just sends the message. The last thing I'll share about navigating is that I'm starting to continue, and we've been working to put this in place and into action, that perseverance, is, in Turtle Island and a lot of the movement spaces for social justice, they're starting to talk about joy as resistance. So critical. So critical. We've been at the front line, we continue to be at the front line. You know this, but my brother, we continue to be in the front lines. Even many of us taking our theater practices like stage management, staging, and right into how we actually orchestrate direct action. And so that's been powerful and important. I think we've been orchestrating and bringing in healing justice to those processes like we've never had before. So we've been evolving there. But around joy, I come and I get to visit Heidi as we've been organizing over this time, and I think, aloha is the original joy and resistance practice. It's so deeply embedded in the music, the harmonies. There's got to be science around the harmonies and how that recalibrates our vibrations in our body and our chemistry for healing and for our liberation. I feel that healing being here and your aloha, all of you, your teams, and all your communities here. Mahalo and me is very healing. I think we must be the original joy and resistance in that practice.
I'm trying to bring it back to the 10-minute phase. But also Lucy is an incredible, if you don't know Lucy's work, she's an incredible scholar, and has done a lot of transnational work, with the people who are practitioners, as well as the American artists. What was the California Dreaming recently, right? And then also just incredible work. So trying to bring it back to the 10-minute phase, given all your knowledge, what are some of your thoughts on the 10-minute plays that we got to work on? I know you and Zach are old-time collaborators, but you also got to work with the Lees, right? Lito Noguchi and Lee Kaluna. How was that for you in relationship to the work you already do?
I'm glad to get to talk about the 10-minute plays. First of all, I'm so honored again to be able to have been invited for as a dramaturg. It's rare because I have this other full-time job that I do. So when I'm able to say yes to that, it's just such a gift and an honor, and it's really sacred to me because it's working with art makers to work with them to realize the vision, the narrative, the story. Yeah. And I also want to say that as a dramaturg, I follow and so that's sort of how I picture it. I just love listening to the stories, and so I can whatever I can do, I be able to do that. And so yeah, so that's the first thing. And I want to talk about the poem itself, the short form. Yes. And I want to talk to it's Leilani and maybe Leslie who envisioned that particular form. No, I'm hearing more about this. It's one of my favorite forms, really, short forms. I'm all about it. From the 1 minute to 3 minutes to 10 minutes. And partly because of my own limitations as a writer. And so, but I really love it, and also as a teacher. It is such a hit in the classroom, right? When you work on short form, there's so much people work on holistically, but also everyone's all have one. So it's such a hit. Students love it. And feel empowered. But yeah, but it's really something that it's so fulfilling in actualizing ideas. So I have it's actually a real question to all of you, but also all of the producers here, the actors, directors, and playwrights. Again, as an audience member, I love it. I love the short form. I think it's very valuable, and we can take it to other forms and media. But I have a real question: is that something that I would love to hear more about why it found itself here in this festival and how, and then also if it's something that folks would invest in. Like, what is the function of the short form with this gathering, or even like if people still do seasons? Maybe you know. I know the season thing is also something that maybe you've transformed now, but it gives us a real question because I really love it, but it's just wondering. I hope that answers some.
So my thinking around it is, with past contests, we've had showcases, we have Hot Asian everything, and you guys remember it was fun. We always had some posts, and then we had people doing 5-10 minutes or something like that, scenes or something. And it's sort of some are more successful than others, things that were encapsulated within those 5-10 minutes were more successful than like a scene from a play that depended on the rest of the play to inform that scene were not as successful. And then in past contests, we've had stage reading series. Sometimes they were successful, sometimes they weren't successful. And so I think my thinking around it was that this 10-minute play format would give us an opportunity to encourage playwrights to write something new, to kickstart something, and also to be able to feature more artists, because putting up a full production was we wanted other playwrights, let's do it at Sakamoto play. Oh, well, that means we have to produce a whole other thing. So, if we don't have that capacity, that wasn't the intention of a festival, right, a conference. So this was our way of being able to commission artists to kickstart something new. And it was a general sort of suggestion of something related to what's happened between 2020 and now. And that was part of our justification in even doing conference events. Like, if this is a way that we can help playwrights work on something new or work on something to a place where they're willing to share it with us, that's something that I'm very interested in contests, making sure that we're doing when we go to a new city or a new place, is that we're really investing in the artists and especially playwrights. Because once there's the play, then there's the actors and the directors and everybody else, the dramaturs who get involved. Yeah. So that was for me, and yeah, I would love to see it continue. I would love to see our gathering, if anyone's interested in collaborating with those artists to complete it to a full-length play. Or if you could start doing a New Works Festival at some point, it would be amazing. So those are some, and yeah, and then funders are here to see that, to me, the depth of artists in Hawaii is what people don't understand. Primarily what's gone to the content has been Japanese American, and that's not Hawaiian. So I really wanted to, we can't even, just with 3 productions, full productions, we can't show you the depth and diversity of the artists that are here in Ghana. So that was the attempt to like see if we could show people around. And I'll just add one thing and then we'll need to wrap up because the food is ready. There's food for us. Yeah. So we had about 24 names of playwrights we wanted to invite. And then we looked at the budget again. And we said, okay, we can maybe do 9, and we were able to do 10. We honestly wanted to invite 24. And who knows, maybe if we build on this, maybe next time around there can be 24. And then it was logistical, you know, we're gonna have 9 writers, how many directors, how many dramaturgs? We don't wanna have one dramaturg for every project, you know, and then again, going back and forth. Thank you, Kayla, for working the budget. I think what we saw take place and transpire this past couple of days with those 10-minute plays is a really fruitful seed that was planted. And I imagine if we water that seed again, that we can build it into a festival. Might be its own thing. So mahalo anui, yeah. Leslie, Ame, Lucy, and my co-chair, Lakeland. Mahalo everyone for sharing. I encourage everybody to go and have something to eat. The day is complete. Let's laula, let's enjoy one another's company, have some food, some social intercourse, yeah.